Here's some paint I've recently bought. It's from RGH Oil Paints ink, and it's very full-bodied, as you can see. And the reason I bought it was it's quite inexpensive, and it comes in jars as well as large tubes. And I want to check it out. It's very creamy. And now the creaminess means that I can pick it up easily on my brush. You can see I'm using an 1.5-inch brush here. The camera angle is making that brush look a little smaller. It's actually quite large. It's bigger than I normally use. Now, I just used a little bit of blue from a sack that I recycled from a previous painting session, and I'll show you how to do that at the end of this video. But the paint is quite creamy, and I can pick it up easily off my palette with my palette knife and easily spread it around. Now, if your paint is too thick, it will kind of smudge altogether, and you'll lose your broken color. In other words, your color will all be blended together. I'm trying to keep the colors very discreet. Here I am. I'm going to add some more cadmium yellow deep from a previous painting session. You can see I've warmed my paint up a lot. I've added a lot of white and other colors. But the whole idea here is to keep the broken color in each stroke. And I'm using my method of scraping up the paint with my left hand. And I picked up a little bit of purple. I thought the yellow was a little bit too one-dimensional, so I added some complementary color to it, purple. And it really vitalizes that color area. You can see there's some very thick paint that I'm using here. I'm using a very large palette knife as well, and that helps me to pick up nice broad strokes with lots and lots of different color in it. Now you can see I'm kind of deliberating on if I want to have that purple up there. And you'll see eventually I do blend those white spots into the canvas quite a bit. Now I'm just sort of intuitively using my brush at different angles to the canvas. If I want to pull the canvas off in a really unbroken way, I lay it down almost flat to the canvas. If I want to blend the paint more, I pull it up more vertical, or perpendicular, I should say. Now this is how I save my paint at the end of a session these days. This is something I just started doing. I decided that I wanted more of my paint to end up on my canvas rather than in the garbage can. And when you paint really thick like this, obviously you want to, economize as best you can. So I just scrape this up and put it into the cellophane. Trim off the top, put a rubber band on it. Now sometimes when I'm doing this, I realize that my color's more beautiful on my palette than it is on my painting. If that's the case, you need to scrape your painting off rather than your palette. But you can also scrape your paint off of your palette, or off your painting, and put it in these sacks as well. And I keep these sacks at the top of my palette. Now here's some close-ups, and you can see how the broken color remains. I don't overblend. In fact, I try to be very conscious about not overblending, letting those fat strokes of paint just sit. You can see a lot of green in there, and that activates a lot of that red and orange.